Today I'm here with my boy Ceez. I decided I would get a tat of my wife Tiffany's eye. So I actually had some macro photography done of Tiffany's eye. It's like a really close-up shot. It's a really cool shot. So I had Ceez, draft something up, and we're putting it on my bicep. It's cool because if you don't know it's an eye, it's a bit kind of like nondescript. It could be a planet, it could be a moon, it could be a crater, and I think that's what I liked about it. Ceez, what did you think about the process, man? Like, what were some challenges of creating a tat like this, or
Well, I've never done anything like this before. So
yeah,
that for sure this is for sure a first for me. But I love the challenge. I think the idea is great, very personal, very unique.
Mm-hmm.
And I think our eyes are the window to our soul.
Yeah.
So I love it, man.
And in terms of like visually trying to copy the details of something so detailed like an eye, what is that process like for you?
It's being true to the reference, taking my time with it, paying attention to the micro details.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just requires patience.
How long have we been going now, bro? It's been an hour?
Tattooing wise?
Right now, yeah.
Just now, yeah. An hour and a half.
It's been like an hour and a half. My arm is doing okay. I'm not in too much pain. But yeah, bro, first, thanks for doing this, man. I really appreciate you hanging out with me and inviting me into your space and doing this ink for me.
Of course, man. I think it's a pleasure and an honor as well. Being chosen to do tattoos for anybody is always a privilege, and I'm equally thankful.
Yeah, man. Let's talk a little bit about your journey, bro. I know last time we hung out, I got to know a little bit about your story, but I would love to share it with people who are tuning in today. Tell me a bit about how you got even started with inking.
So it all started by obtaining an apprenticeship at the age of 18. From then on forward, I was surrounded by more artists and was able to explore different styles and have conversations with people I like.
Right.
Before that, I think it truly started when I was around 15 years old, and when I got my first tattoo. That was an experience that I think really shaped my life. Being able to see what's possible and picking up magazines and books and reading about tattoo artists around the world made me want to be like them. And just envisioning that was enough for me to take it serious. It was difficult getting started, but I think my parents are a big foundation of my work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
And from the age of like 14, they told me if I wanted anything, I'd have to work for it. If I wanted a phone, you gotta pay for it, get a job. So
that's that immigrant hustle that you learned from a young age, man.
Yeah.
I know your family, like mine, we're from El Salvador.
Yes.
That's where our families come from.
Yes.
And that's a big reason why I wanted to come and link with you too, man. I want to be connected to other Salvadorians doing things. You know what I'm saying? So I feel blessed that we got to connect, man. But on that note, tell me a bit about your family, man. Like when did your family come to Canada? I think you were born here, right?
Yeah, I'm what do you say? First generation. First generation Canadian.
Yeah.
I think being a first generation Canadian, I resonate with other immigrants. I grew up in a neighborhood. I grew up in Black Creek, Toronto, just on the west side of Toronto.
Right.
And everyone I went to school with was of different origins and from different places, and I think it taught me so much more about what we have in common than what we have different. And my parents, they were proud of who they are. They are proud of who they are, and they kept traditions alive in the household, and even old school methods of disciplining were always there. But I think it's great. Like,
You got the belt, pull out the cincho.
yeah, I definitely got this intro. Yeah, I'd say I definitely owe a lot of everything to my parents. As tough love as they had and still have, it's very much appreciated.
Now this is interesting because you grew up in a Salvi home. I know what it's like to grow up in a Salvi immigrant home.
That's right.
So I'm assuming that tattooing was not something your parents wanted you to pursue.
Yeah, that's right.
How did you get away with that in a Salvi home?
Yeah, I didn't get away with it. I had to hide it.
Yeah.
I had to hide the fact that this is my interest and this is where I found myself dwelling in, and not being able to share that with my family was difficult because you do wish to have that support, and when you realize it's not there and you're just not going to get it, hiding that passion is it was tough. Just being young and wanting to share and not being able to share was just difficult. But then again, it taught me about striving for what you believe in. And I think as the years went by, I became more confident in my own decision making, and my parents were slowly seeing the man I was becoming, and eventually they realized that, okay, we can trust him. He's got a plan. We don't understand it, but
there's a plan.
But there is a plan, and I think that was important. And I think even any parent just wants to know that their kid has a plan.
For sure, and it's a beautiful thing. I know. Even just before we started this interview, you were telling me about being able to have paid for some stuff for your parents, right? Like some landscaping stuff you had done at your parents' home, and this is all off of the strength of tattooing, which is something that they may not have approved in the beginning.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of come full circle, and they see like, okay, well, it may not have been the vision that we saw for him, but it's something that now we see is tangible. Yeah. That must be a good feeling for you, man.
Yeah, it's nice, man. It's nice. I think they're definitely happy for me. There's so much more that I want to do for them. But for where I'm at now in my life, being able to do even the most minimal things makes me feel great. Nowhere near as comparable as to what the type of life they gave me. Just the true immigrant story of getting here from Central America. I'll never know the type of gravity that must feel like, but
being uprooted.
Yeah.
And, taking your life and your family to a completely different country, starting from scratch from the beginning.
Yeah.
It's a struggle, man. But speaking of that, Toronto for me, I love Toronto because of that, man. Because it's so multicultural. There's kids like us that come from Salvi parents, Salvi families, but you can find everything in Toronto, which I love. It's so diverse.
That's right.
When your family started coming here to Toronto, I think you mentioned you grew up in Black Creek, but is that the primary neighborhood where you grew up?
Yeah, I mean, in my upbringing, I spent the majority of my life in Black Creek.
Yeah. How do you think that shaped you? How did that influence you?
I think, it did a lot for me, I'll be honest. Just being like self-aware. Sports was a huge thing in my childhood.
Yeah.
And, everyone in my neighborhood plays sports. So if you wanna hang, you gotta know how to play any sport you can.
Right.
And on top of it, you build, sportsmanship. It's fun. I grew up playing soccer in Jane and Finch in the Driftwood League, indoor and outdoor, and those leagues were definitely fundamental in my early years. Just seeing people from all types of races playing in a league, and fathers living vicariously through their children and pushing through sports, and seeing parents more involved in it than anything, and just the enthusiasm behind behind this love for this sport was so much fun to be a part of.
And it showed you community from early.
Yeah, that's right.
Right from early on.
Yeah, community, definitely. And funny enough, like down the road, I'll run into people that I haven't seen in like 15, 20 years because like that was such a long time ago.
Right.
And we all played in the same league, and it's cool. It's cool. That part of my life I definitely remember vividly. I think being from Toronto and growing up on my side or this side of the city, it really made you grow up pretty quick. I think there's every side to that neighborhood. There's a lot of good. There's also some things you got to worry about just in terms of just neighborhood shit. And maybe actually, I think ultimately, it prepared me to travel the world because knowing how to maneuver my own neighborhood allowed me to move in other neighborhoods as well. Just being being aware, knowing how to socialize, knowing, just like some street sense, some street smarts, if you will. I think I love my upbringing. I wouldn't really change it, to be honest.
It's cool, man, because although there's a lot of similarities between me and you, where we grew up in the city was very different. I grew up in Scarborough, the east end of Toronto. You grew up around the Jane and Finch, Black Creek area, west end of Toronto. I feel like you probably had a better sense of what it was like to grow up in a Latin community because the west end of Toronto has a lot more Latinos, right? How did that influence you?
I guess so, man. I guess so. That influenced me?
Yeah. I feel like growing up around Latin culture would make an impact on who you are today.
I think it did a little bit for me. It was cool to see people that looked kind of like me. But really there wasn't that much of a strong community. Like it was, it existed, but it's not so obvious. Like, for example, playing soccer and being in that sports league, it connected me with more Latinos.
Right.
My parents and the church that they went to was an all Spanish-speaking church, connecting me to more Latinos that way. So the only real exposure was through sports and church.
Interesting.
So I felt a little bit disconnected, actually, which going into my adult life, I resonate a lot with Spanish-speaking cities. Like, for example, Los Angeles is a city that I've grown very fond of, and I spend time there as much as I can. I'm super comfortable. The fabric of that city is such a warm feeling to me that I wish there was a bit more of that here, but demographically, what can I do,
But it's great. We talked about this earlier today too, but it's great because what you like about LA and that culture you bring to Toronto, you bring it to the forefront. And I think that's important, man. Like, we talked about the Cholo aesthetic, the lowriders, that very California lifestyle. Yeah. And you're one of the few guys that I know that actively lives it authentically. How do you feel about bringing that culture and being one of the people at the forefront of that in Toronto?
Sure. It's hard for me to even claim it, man, because I'm not even trying to package myself like that. I think organically, I just love like old music, and I love the ballads and the harmony and like in 50s music.
Right.
I think car culture was always in me even before, seeing lowriders.
Right.
I think it's just a natural feeling. I don't even consider myself to be Cholo. I think I am me. And like I expressed earlier, I'm, East Coast born, but West Coast inspired. So this hybrid of who I am and being Toronto raised is different. So I don't claim anything other than myself, really, truly. But I can see what you're saying with like aesthetically, because yeah, there's no doubt that
There's an influence.
there's an influence
Right.
or there's a certain vibe to my environment. My shop is an extension of who I am, so
Mm-hmm.
you could really see exactly what you're saying. So
Yeah, your space is great, man. It's my second time here. I love all the art you have on the walls,
thanks, man.
the music, the vinyls. It has a great vibe and a great energy. And again, it does have that like Cali feel to it, you know, at least a hybrid of it, at least an influence of it.
Right.
Tell me about your shop, man. What brought you here? Tell me about this neighborhood.
Okay, so my shop, Original Gallery, is a private studio that I opened in spring of 2018. I've always wanted it to be in this neighborhood, in the Oslington neighborhood. I felt like there's just a strong sense of community. The area is bustling with people. All walks of life are here. There's an AM and PM crowd.
Mm-hmm.
It changes. It's fun. Made a lot of friends here as well.
Right.
And it's actually kind of the place to be because those in between moments of going out, of getting something really good to eat, having a quick drink, something low key, you can find it here. And I'm a low key person, so this is perfect. Like I wouldn't want to be, on King Street or Queen Street anymore. Like this is my vibe. And even though I'm low key, this is pretty like out there as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like a perfect balance of what I want, and allows me to focus on work.
Right.
But yeah, my shop has been a blessing. I've had the privilege of working with quite a few people. I've opened my doors to. I've been able to host friends and artists from other countries, give them the opportunity to work here, make them money, and enjoy the city. I would like to consider myself a really good host because I love my own city.
Mm-hmm.
And when people come in, I want to show them what we got.
Right.
So I think, just being an ambassador to the city, I'm very proud of.
That's dope, man. I know something really appealing about your job when we speak, and something that I'm like, man, that's such a cool aspect of your job, is being able to travel with your work.
Right.
So you're from Toronto, but you have a really good international sensibility because you've gone to see a lot of the world.
Right.
Talk to me about your travels and setting up some of your tattooing tours with friends and stuff like that.
Sure, man. Today, like, touring with my friends has been nothing but fun, man. Like,
Yeah.
We do this out of love. We do it out of pure pleasure, and we want to see each other. And the way to see each other in one place is plan some shit. Like someone's gotta, stir the pot. And then I'm very proud of my friends, and yeah, we just all share that same vision and drive for what we do, and we're not really shy of traveling together and doing it.
Yeah.
I think all of this really stems from being 18, 17, and not being afraid to take a 12-hour bus ride to a state, New York, Philly, Washington, just to watch someone work at a tattoo convention, or hearing about an art show that I really want to be at. Hey, I'm just an $80 Greyhound ticket away from being there.
Right.
So let's just do it. Those early moments showed me the importance of going out there and getting it. That, I think every year of my life I've always wondered, okay, how can I push it? Or where can I go this year that is gonna further my perspective on life and tattooing, because I think tattooing coincides with life experiences. I wouldn't want to just tattoo and sit in one spot. I think I think I'm onto something with all this traveling, and I think it helps with my development as an artist and as a person. Um, yeah, I wouldn't trade it for anything, and it's a privilege,
For sure, man.
and it's definitely something I don't take for granted.
I know you've talked to me about some of your travels before, and aside from being able to take your art places, while you're in those places, you've experienced life-changing things, right? Like when you go down, you told me about going to Tulum.
Sure.
Talk to me a little bit about some of your travels and some life-changing experiences that you had.
Let's think about that. I think yeah, I think Mexico has a very special place in my heart right now. Um, I feel more than ever wanting to connect with my ancestors and my roots. Even though I am Salvadoran by blood, there's just so much knowledge and history in Mexico that we share with Central America that I feel like to learn about myself more, I can simply just start anywhere really, but Mexico was a great place to start in.
So I know through your travels, you've had the privilege of having some life-changing experiences, and I know one of them that you've mentioned to me before was exploring psychedelics. Talk to me about some of that, man, and how that's impacted you and what you've discovered and what that journey's been like for you.
Yeah. Psychedelics are, I think, is a big part of healing and self-discovery. I think sometimes we go through things in life that we may not understand. You don't understand why it's happening to us,
Right.
or the reasons why you feel such a way. And it does take a deeper level of thinking to realize these things. And as an artist and as just a human being, I'm always looking for answers, and I think it allows me to grow again as a person. I find psychedelics is a bit of is an experience that opens doors in your mind that you wouldn't really find otherwise, or you wouldn't have found so quickly. Having empathy in your life is, I believe, has been so helpful in finding peace in myself and in my work.
Right.
I think my psychedelic journey started with mushrooms. I think mushrooms has been such a blessing. It's like it's almost like a soul food kind of thing where, hey, you know what? Like 2-3 times out of the year, before summer, after summer, during the winter, I think I need it for some clarity.
Interesting.
Not that let me just correct that. I don't need it. I think it helps me.
Right.
Yeah, mushrooms has definitely been a great way to explore my emotions and appreciate the little things. Pushing the envelope. I've been able to put in time and research into other psychedelics such as ayahuasca, which is more of a purge, something that really has to call you.
Right.
I've studied a lot about it, haven't done it.
Right.
I was actually planning on doing it, say maybe a year ago, but things just kept happening that didn't really allow me to do it. And instead, on a whim, I went to Mexico and found a sanctuary called Bufo Veris Sanctuary, where I was able to go through a DMT experience with spiritual guides, and that DMT molecule was something that was actually more life-changing than anything else. Anything else I experienced in my life, giving me such a grand perspective of this oneness that we all are a part of, and really being able to find the light in yourself.
That's interesting. What does DMT even stand for? Do you know?
No.
I don't know either. I've heard of DMT. It's when people are talking about psychedelics, it's a common one that gets thrown out.
Sure.
What would you describe that feeling like when you're on, or that journey? What is that like?
Yeah, it's like nothing you could. It's really hard to explain other than you are looking at yourself, and you can put your entire ego on a in your hands, and you're able to look at it in a non-biased way, and be able to diminish what has either given you pain or fear. You could throw it away in that very moment. You can find you can travel back into like small moments of your life that you never thought you actually remembered,
right?
And it could give you answers to certain reasons as to why you are the way you are. A micro moment, like when you were a baby, for example, our memories are stored through like receptors being connected, and when we forget something, it's because the receptors are disconnected. That DMT molecule, it just sets your brain on like an electrical wave where receptors are connecting, things are starting to fuse, and you're opening up your certain glands that are allowing you to see this. So with that, I found a lot of answers about myself.
Of course, I feel like you would, man. If you're able to remember things that in your mind have been, let's call it, displaced or forgotten or something,
True.
It would for sure bring back or give you the ability to be able to heal something if you can remember it.
Yeah.
Right. So that's an interesting thing. What would you say has been your biggest takeaway from that experience?
I'd say a reminder to love myself, and that I have the ability to heal myself and others. I think we all have that ability to smile and brighten someone's day.
Right.
And we always choose to forget it, or we don't apply it. There's more sense of purpose in what I do. It really helped, and I think it's also opened up more questions that I have yet to answer, because one experience isn't one and tell all. There's more to it, I believe. So I think I now walk around this planet with questions and an open heart.
Right.
Which then allows me, which I believe has allowed me to create friendships and be able to listen and just have an honest opinion on things. And yeah, I think it's just added to my just to who I am.
Yeah, I feel like it's something I've wanted to try, man. I've obviously thought about, psychedelics, but I think the biggest fear for myself and probably lots of people in my position who are maybe thinking about it is, will I come back fucked up? You know what I'm saying? Like, if I take this thing, is it gonna mess me up? And that's been my only fear. That's been my concern for not doing it. You know?
That's right. I get it, because I thought the same thing. And I can't even like recommend it to anybody, because you gotta feel like it's the right thing for you.
Yeah.
I'd say, like, beyond anything, like if you can do the research and just look at it as medicine, and your intention behind it, if it's pure, or at least like in a direction that's you're asking this medicine for answers. So respect it. And when you do that, it'll give you what you need.
Right.
You can't even assume what it's going to give you. It's going to tell you what it needs to tell you. So going in with just an open heart is really all you need. And it'll do the rest, because there's no way of controlling it. It literally puts the universe in your hands and communicates with you.
That's dope, bro. You're making me think. I'm definitely going to do some research and look into it, but I'm glad to hear that for you it was like a mindful and like healing experience, man. That's really dope.
Yeah, man.
I wanted to ask you about tattooing, man. Like,
yeah, please.
Tattooing, I know, is a big part of your identity. You've been doing it for a long time. It's what you do professionally. What is it about tattooing that's special for you? Like, what was it that about tattooing that called you, that you decided this is what I'm going to do with my life, is be a tattoo artist?
I think it's the time how I spend my time. You know, I love conversating with my clients and getting to know different people.
Right.
The opportunities it brings for me as well in terms of travel and life experiences I probably couldn't find it anywhere else, at least that I could think of. But I think being a part of someone's story is very fulfilling. I have clients that when I first started, they were coming with insecurities or issues that they weren't upfront about, but I could sense it. And having this intuition and enabling them to open up and talk about what's going on. I never force anything on anyone, but people open up to me. And when I hear them out and over hours of tattooing, I feel like in that act of talking about your issues or at least talking about your own story, people reflect and find answers within the session.
Right.
And being a part of that is like, it's cool to see it, because even for myself, like, I'm growing as I'm listening to your story. So every day could be different.
Right.
And just that real human experience is what I love about it. The pain,
you know what's crazy, bro, is like what you're describing is really just communication. Is people just talking, and that in itself is a form of therapy. You know, it shows how we as humans, we just need that. We need to be able to conversate and unload. You know what I'm saying? Do you ever feel like it's almost like therapeutic
for myself,
for yourself, for you as the tattoo artist?
It's a little overwhelming sometimes.
Okay, yeah, I can imagine, for sure. Lots of people, all different kinds of personalities coming in, and
yeah, sometimes. But it feels great, man. I feel like I'm living out a part of my purpose by doing that, hearing people out, and also I love to connect the dots. So if there's a way I can help people, I'll do my best to make it happen. I feel like I'm definitely in the eyes and ears, and I feel like if I just hear the right thing and it sparks the right feeling, I love seeing magic happen.
Right.
So, being a part of the fabric of Toronto and the tattoo community has given me a sense of belonging and almost a full circle moment, because at one point when I was in my youth, I wish there was places that facilitated certain ideas or concepts, and I'm able to have certain conversations, like this type of conversation would have happened about 10 years ago or 12 years ago. People were still very didn't really share too much,
right?
You know, like it was more about how could we sell. I think nowadays things are a lot more introspective,
right?
So I think there's just more room for growth now. Let me know if I'm like rambling or something.
No, this is good, bro.
I don't know if I'm like
this is good. No, we might edit some stuff, but
yeah,
overall as a conversation, it's supposed to be a conversation, so it's good, man. Whatever comes to mind.
Sure.
I did want to ask you, in terms of tattooing professionally as your experience, have you ever had, like, what's been your best tattoo session and why? Like, maybe not your favorite piece or your favorite tattoo that you've done, but what's been your best session and what's made it the best session for you?
I think some of the best experiences I've had has been tattooing other creatives and be able to get their side of things.
Right.
You know, resonating with other creatives is a good feeling to me. Also, bouncing ideas with someone that I would never expect to be in my chair. For example, having teachers. Like my clients could be my clients range from teachers, officers, business owners, even judges.
Wow.
I've been able to tattoo and like it's just amazing to just see that happen.
That's incredible, bro. Having a judge like in your chair while you're inking them up.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow, man.
Yeah, that's cool. Only because you wouldn't expect it. But
Yeah.
then, I think everyone has a story to tell, and regardless of political views or where they're from on this planet, like this is one way of expressing themselves, and I think is very natural to just being a human. I think we all have a sense of expression and how we want to communicate ourselves visually to the world, or even to yourself.
Right.
Primitively, we want to stand out and identify with a group or a type of people. So I think tattooing it's just natural. It only makes sense that we keep doing it. It's only when it becomes a trend where you start to lose that realness in it.
Right.
And when I say that, I mean it's always my opinion, but living out someone else's ideas. Like, I want this because he has it.
Right.
So that's not why you should get it. But hey,
like losing unauthentic intention behind something.
right.
Right.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of growth in getting tattooed and just the whole experience. And I think you should honor yourself and be patient with yourself. A lot of young kids are very in a rush
Yeah.
to have an aesthetic before they even know who they are.
Right.
Not even now, but it's always been like that. Youth just has that type of energy. And that, yeah, it's kind of, for me, there's a bit of a responsibility behind it too, as to like who I tattoo and why, and just the intimacy of, just being able to tattoo responsibly. I think I'm very much aware of.
You bring up a good point, man, because today, I see lots of kids that come in and they'll get sleeves done in like, weeks or months. They'll have their full sleeves done, whereas, the I'm not going to say the common practice, but what it's traditionally been for tattoos is you kind of build it up over time, over life experience. Each tattoo kind of has its own story or meaning.
Right.
What are your thoughts behind that, man? I know a lot of like avid tattooers, tattoo artists, or people who get tattoos, they like, correct me if I'm wrong, it's called like the sailor approach, where you get like one tattoo at a time and
like badges almost,
right?
Yeah.
What's your as a tattoo artist, your perspective on getting badges versus getting like full sleeves at a time? And
I think it's not right to assume anything about anyone.
Right.
So I think there's some young people that have just lived a whole life already. And they're just very aware and they know what they want.
Right.
Everyone's experience is truly different. So until you get to talk to them, you really don't know.
Right.
But you can definitely sense naiveness and in that case I probably would step in. But I let people speak for themselves, and I find the consultation process to be very important in a way where that's where you can really, really find out who you're tattooing.
For sure.
And give them what I believe is best for them. Whether that's the tattoo they want or consulting them into an idea that they didn't think otherwise.
Right.
I think all of these experiences that in my life, from traveling to psychedelics to all this, it all comes down to like having patience with people and with myself. It all leads to a good tattoo.
Yeah.
So I think everything that I explore in my life culminates into being an artist and just being this human being.
Have you ever had an experience where, I'm assuming you have, where maybe you've turned down a client or a tattoo session?
Yes. Yes.
And what's that been like? What goes into your process when you decide if you're gonna take on a client or not?
Well, I think the first thing is, do I feel like I can deliver? Is what you're asking something that I can truly give you?
Right.
Secondly, would be the in-person experience as to like who they are. If I feel like they're making a conscious decision, it's always good to know.
Right.
I don't always turn down people, but I'll only turn down people if like I said, if I feel like I can't do the best job at it, or I believe that maybe they just need more time to think about it. And I could just sense it. You know, I could sense hesitation. I mean, it's easy to sense hesitation, but you got to act on it.
Right.
Like, I'm not here to take your money. I don't need your money. I'd rather give you what you want.
Right.
There's some seriousness in all of this, and there's a time to be serious and also a time not to be that serious. Sometimes novelty tattoos are fun. You know, it doesn't have to be the most meaningful thing.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's always to my discretion. But
What about your own body art, man? Tell me about some of the tattoos that you've gotten and maybe some of those experiences. I know you talked about, your enjoyment for tattooing other artists, but I know a lot of the work that you've done has come from some of your own friends and colleagues as well, right? What is that like, being tattooed by your colleagues or your friends?
Oh man, it's the best, man. I really, really appreciate it. I think the majority of the tattoos on my body are from my friends. Yeah, it's the best thing, sharing with each other, and you just know they care. You know,
For sure, man.
It's always an honor as well, because as we could go to anybody and or choosing to get tattooed by your peers, they truly respect you in that sense, and yeah, no better feeling, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
We're almost done.
Almost wrapped up. Look at this. It's looking fire. This is really dope. Thanks for doing this, bro.
Yeah, we're almost there.
While we almost wrap up, I wanted to ask you as well. Give me what's your goals with tattooing, man? I know you're still young. You've been doing it for a while, but you still got a lot left to go. What's your hopes for? What do you want to achieve next, man?
I want to be more well traveled. I want to be able to do more guest spots around the world.
Yeah.
Build on my perspectives. Participate in more conventions, and I want to ultimately bring talent to Toronto. I want to host more friends and more artists, and showcase what the world has in Toronto. I think Toronto, being an international city, I think it deserves this type of quality of tattooing, and I'm just fortunate to have friends who are of that caliber.
Yeah.
So I think the future for me that I can really feel right now is be able to just pull and be inspired by the world and bring it here and showcase it and just put people on. That's my dream, really, is to be able to continue to put people and myself on and just be genuine about it. It's probably the biggest honor to have.
Dope, man. Bro, congrats on everything you've accomplished. Thank you for this ink. Next time we're gonna go grab some pupusas. You know what I'm saying?
Man. Come on, that's like after tattooing. Come on,
you need a good meal,
bro. Trust me, work hard, eat well. Yeah, dude, trust me. All this traveling and stuff has led me to great restaurants. So
yeah, we'll do it, bro. We'll do it up. Yeah. Thanks for watching. I'm here with my boy Ceez. You know what I'm saying? He hooked me up with some dope ink today. So I'll show you a good shot of this later when it's healed up. Peace.
Yeah.